Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode, the final episode of these daily podcasts live from Royal Liverpool. I am Tom Mills. Today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Thomas, great to be here. Even though it does sound like the building we're currently sat in sounds like it's going to implode.
It's absolutely...
I don't know whether all of a sudden the wind has just come, because it was so quiet on those last few holes with the wind, and it's like now it's buffeting around all over the place.
Yeah, it's 7:30 here. We've literally just walked out the press conference with Brian Harman. So we're about an hour after he's finished, really. What a week. But before we start and dissect everything that's kind of happened, we haven't really done a dissection podcast this week at all. We've been doing these ancillary podcasts, but before we start, thank you, with dissection, a few thank yous.
Few thank yous. Well, I mean, Thomas, I'll kick us off with the first one. Big thank you to Peter Millar. They've kitted us out royally this week. Crown crafted polos. I don't know about you, the little quarter zip we did for the spring meeting, that's held me in good stead. You've been on the pop over, pull over.
A few of those quarter zips knocking around the course we've seen as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which was nice.
Bumped into a few friends. Just big thank you, I guess, to Peter Millar for sorting us out with the merchandise. Minor sort of tangential point. It's been great to see some cookie jar merchandise floating around in the crowds.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we saw a few of those quarter zips, we saw a few hats,
year-on-year percentage increase is enormous.
Yeah. Considering there was nothing in St Andrews, yeah, I'd say it's an infinite percentage increase.
Correct.
But no, huge thank you to Peter Millar for everything they've done, and those guys over there and supporting us to get up here this week. Second thank you has to go to FootJoy, not only for the collaboration that we did with them for the shoe for this Open, that we've been dealing with for a good few months now, that we started that going on.
Done a great job on that.
Very, very late notice, we had to call in a favour for the FootJoy campsite, and they hooked us up good and proper.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
And what a cool vibe. Like, I didn't realise the campsite that they put in there, like, that's just such a great initiative. I think if you're under the age of 25, it's free.
I think it's free if you've got a ticket.
Showering, there's facilities, bar, every night there's stuff on with live music. I think it's so easy in that environment. If you're setting something like that up, it just becomes an extension of a shoe shop, and it's like, no, really cool. Great bit of work.
I think
it's just a really cool vibe and hang, and it's like, oh yeah, FootJoy, we've just done that. It's not a shoe thing. It's just
I was chatting to Tom, who manages the campsite, and really interesting bloke, and he was talking, like how they set up the street food stuff there. They had like 5 or 6 street food stalls, and then they had the live music every night, and the place was like, it's full of kids playing football, and there was just loads going on, and there's families, and it felt like one of those things about the Open. If I wanted to go watch the Open and I wanted to try and get it past my wife and kids, I was like, hey, you can come along, it's fine, and it did feel like... I'd
love to take my son there, and like family, like you could do it. It's a really nice little hangout, isn't it?
And the cheapest beers in Hoylake.
Well, that's literally written into it, isn't it?
Yeah.
They will always have the cheapest beers.
That
does not mean they're free, because beers are expensive here, as we know. Third thank you, CDP and Sounder. Everyone knows we're good friends with these guys. Cool bunch. The Sounder CDP courtyard this week has been electric. Rosé, gin and tonics and beers in the evening, and the company has been absolutely outstanding. Getting to sort of spend time with Mike Doris, Mike Clayton, Jeff Shackelford,
Frank Pond,
the guys, Frank Pond, Sam Cooper, people like that. It's just
there's some VIPs turned up too.
Cookie jar were there.
I was thinking more along the lines of David, but
yeah, like David Meacher, like organizer behind the whole tournament committee for the RNA. But yeah, it's just been nice hanging out with those guys. It's always an absolute pleasure.
Fourth, thank you, Royal Liverpool Golf Club. So, although they didn't really have a say in whether we were here or not, we made it here, and I think they knew we were coming, and luckily we managed to. We had breakfast with the captain and lady captain, and had a walk through and some of those bits you've seen before, like we've done a lot of work with Royal Liverpool before and seen how the John Ball medals and seen Tigers 2-iron. The one thing about Royal Liverpool is that their history is so rich, for the want of a better word, and I know that's probably overused, the rich history, but their history is so deep and so rich that there's loads of stuff I hadn't seen, I didn't know about, like the wand and the telescope and all these things that I'd not seen before, and
by extension of that, I would say the members and the pride. Like, I think, I don't think we're going to be having an Open Championship come to Blackwell, but I can only imagine the sense of pride I would feel having the Open Championship at Blackwell and seeing everyone come. And it doesn't feel like this like stuffy private thing where it's like that's the members bit and the members are shuffling around and everyone else is getting in their way. Every Royal Liverpool member, and know a few of the guys, we've become quite friendly with a lot of people at the club over the last few years. They're just beaming from ear to ear, and it's really nice to see so many people so proud of their golf club and just wanting to show it off. It's just a treat.
I genuinely think this building's about to fall down.
Yeah,
it's absolutely.
I wonder if they started dismantling
as an extension,
the
and we'll
media
get
centre.
into it. But not only were they obviously so clearly proud of their wonderful golf club, the condition the course was in, and Matty Jordan. They had so much to be proud of this week with the whole club, and we'll get into the Jordan
it's a massive
bit.
Success
And I think we'll get into the condition,
and obviously the
Jordan.
RNA within that, for everything they do, and putting on a great championship and working well with the club. Final thank you as a great segue into the most anticipated giveaway Cookie Jar has ever done.
Without doubt.
It is the only giveaway we've ever done. It's not technically. We did some giveaways of 4 balls with a series in Scotland 3 years ago, actually.
That's the first physical giveaway we've done.
Exactly. For the greatest tour bag in issue this week.
I don't think we've ever been explicitly clear on what it is we're giving away. So we are giving away a tailor-made staff bag as used by...
Hang on.
Tommy Ladd.
This is why we're so bad at this. We are giving away a tailor-made limited edition 151st Open Championship tour bag. Yellow and blue.
Tommy Ladd.
As used by Tommy Ladd, Rory McIlroy, you name it.
Scotty Scheffler, all those guys.
Now, we are giving that out to the person that emails us on contact@cookiejargolf.com with the 3 previous amateur winners of the Claret Jug. However, I cannot stress this enough. Please go and make sure you are signed up to our newsletter. We have been writing blogs and articles all of this week, which are available online. Go and check some of that stuff out. See whether it's aged like milk. Leave your email address in there. Now, Thomas, without further ado,
I'm gonna just address you on your etiquette because it's so windy and horrible in here now. You're gonna have to get teeth on micro.
Okay.
We need to get rid of this ambience.
Teeth on mic.
Really, teeth on mic. So, we're gonna roll into. We just came out of the press conference with Brian Harman. I asked a question, wasn't that interested. Someone else asked a question, was more interesting. He said something really interesting. He said that he kind of was quavering, a bit unsure whether he could do it. And as he was walking down a fairway, a fan said, "Harman, you haven't got the stones for this." This was after he bogeyed 2 holes in round 3. And then he commented on saying, "Do you know what? I'll show you." Pretty much words to that effect is, "Okay, let's go," which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, so the second he said that, the penny just drops, doesn't it? I can't, it's gonna, he's like a fighter. He's a gritty golfer. He'll dig it out. He just looks like a scrapper, on the golf course. He's that type of player. And when you walk past somebody in the crowd who just says, "You haven't got the stones for this, mate," I'm not at all surprised that he just digs in and finds another gear. And, I even said it, didn't I, when we did a podcast earlier this week and said Brian Harman will go down as one of the worst Open Championship winners in the modern era. Okay.
Have you changed that view?
Is he my favourite Open champion? Absolutely not. But does he deserve it of winning it? Posting a score 6 clear of the rest of the field? Yeah, of course he is. It just wasn't a very interesting final round or enjoyable last day of the event. But you've got to separate those two things.
And I think the problem was that there was so much interest in Rory. There was so much interest in Tommy Fleetwood doing well in in an area that's somewhat close to where he's from. Probably, well, it's definitely as close as Open. Is it? Or probably Lytham might be closer. But
Birkdale.
certainly really bloody close. Yeah, Birkdale's right next door. Certainly bloody close to where he's born. Then you had Matty Jordan. So there's all these stories, coming through, and these lines coming through, that Brian Harman having a 6-stroke lead, and it basically being an uncompetitive final 2 days of the Open. Nobody wants that. Not because it's Brian Harman, but if it's anybody being 6 strokes clear and just not getting anywhere near to the field is like...
Well, there's 14 names on a leaderboard that we're looking at right now. And I'm just going to tell you straight away, there's like 2 or 3 people that we would be sitting here going, perfect, you couldn't have written it any better. And the fact of the matter is, golf is not, it's not looking for storylines. It's looking for who puts the ball in the hole in the best way. And there's no doubt about it, Brian Harman was pure class. I thought Saturday and Sunday, the chance of wobbling was there. But we didn't really see any sort of like crazy high scores from the sort of leading pack that much. Maybe Christo Lamprecht, whatever. But he just got it back on rails. He putted the lights out. Like he was putting out of his mind.
For those people who
week.
don't know, the winners of the Open at Royal Liverpool generally have a club that's donated to the cabinet. And it's Tiger's 2-iron. It's Rory's wedge from 2014. I've got no doubt that the club that's going to end up
Harman's
in that cabinet...
bow and arrow.
Is Brian Harman's. Might as well be a bow and arrow. It went dead straight. His putter. I mean, it is a grotesque looking putter.
Yeah.
But he rolled the rock. That was one of the best putting performances. I don't know whether it's because Royal Liverpool's hasn't got a huge amount of borrow. Like they're relatively flat greens.
Extremely flat.
If you can commit to a line and get the ball rolling on it, you're going to putt well around here. And he must have held some serious footage.
The greens at Hoylake are incredibly flat. And going into that, we knew that people were going to get the putter going. And even today, you see a lot of people missing on the high side. A lot of putts staying out there because you start trying to overread these things. And he just putted superbly from minute one. Got on with the task. Was he the fans' favourite? Absolutely not. Was it a fairly boring final round? 100%. Does he deserve to win the Claret Jog? Absolutely, no doubt.
That was one of the most majestic last 36 holes, I'd say. Like, from being that much ahead, 5 strokes ahead with 36 to go, there was ample opportunity to fold, and he never, ever looked like going down. And to go... in round 3 and round 4 to go 2 over early doors, like this round 4, the final round today, that driving it into the gorse on 5, taking a drop, getting a bogey on the easiest hole in the golf course, and then 6th has been absolutely nails all week, and to jam it in there and get a birdie, it was just
14's playing the hardest hole on the course.
Yeah,
and he
played that so right. Like he drove.
He's played 1 under for the week.
He played 14 today, about 25 foot left of the pin. That pin was such a sucker pin on the right, and he played it 25 foot left, and was like, the benefits of being so far on the lead, I suppose. Plays it 25 foot left, just thinks, I'm just going to lag it down and get my par. If it goes in, great. It went in. He absolutely rolled it, and it was great golf. It was great golf. It was frustrating for the viewer. Highest order.
Well, you want drama, you want theatre, you want it to come down to the last shot. The fact of the matter is, he just did too good a job of getting the golf ball in the hole to make that happen. I think we should talk about a few notable mentions. I think it's really worth us talking about Matty Jordan and his performance. I'd really like to talk about the winner of the Tooting Bec. I knew nothing about the Tooting Bec until this morning, listening to your podcast with Bill Longmuir. Knew nothing of it. Yeah. Who is the winner of the Tooting Bec Trophy? Or Tooting
I
Bec
know
Cup?
that our listeners are particularly keen to know, and I almost feel like we should keep it hanging till the end of the pod. But
we should. So what is the Tooting Bec?
For those of you who didn't get through Bill Longmuir's, please go back. I mean, it's not Open related, so it will it will.
It's
Well, it is
open
open
related,
related.
it's just
but
not-
It's
yeah.
not related to the scores of the day or anything. It's Bill Longmuir's played in 10 Opens and led an Open in 1979. So
You foxed him with it on the pod.
Yeah, so I did do my research for the pod. I'd looked at Bill's achievements, and I met Bill a few times. He's played at Blackwell before, and has been working with CDP for quite some time. So I've met Bill a few times before, and just doing a bit of research for the pod. And you look up, and he's played well in 1979. He's won the 76 Nigerian Open or whatever it was, and he did well in 1984 at St Andrews. Interestingly, when we finished the pod, because I didn't want it to be too long, he said, I wanted to get onto the 84 Open, because in the 84 Open he led after round one, joint led after round one, and he'd give a little nugget early in the pod, which was he was told to, on the road hole, just drive it over and play it to the front right edge and try and two-put up from there. And he was leading after 30. He was still leading after 34 holes, and then took a triple on the road hole trying to follow that advice. And he was like, "Oh, I got it." But I said, "Bill, we'll have to get you back on, mate, because it was so much more we could have done."
The Tooting Beck Trophy, and it transpired. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so the Tooting Beck was the player, the British and Irish player who shoots the lowest round at that particular Open.
Mental.
And he won in 1979.
It's actually a thing. Like it's like a proper thing. It's not some stupid thing we've cooked up. It's not some farcical sponsored thing. Like, this is a thing that goes back to 1924.
It's
first
be
ever winner of
cup.
the is Ernest Whitcomb, who won the first ever Tooting Beck Trophy.
Was that right? What, in the Tooting Beck tournament, or was that at the Open?
1924.
No. So the Tooting Beck tournament goes way further back than that. That was the first time it was done at the Open.
At the Open?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been outdone on knowledge.
No. So the Tooting Beck tournament was in Tooting Beck prior to that, and they decided to stop doing that tournament and then delete.
Let's talk about the big hitting items.
Okay.
This morning we looked at course setup. The course has lengthened day on day. There's been an absolute deluge which has softened the course, so it's playing way longer day on day. I kind of felt like the RNA had done what it could within the setup to make it a more advantageous course for the bigger hitter. Does that mean that it was trying to compress the leaderboard? I don't know. And if so, should the tournament committee do that?
I disagree a little bit. I was filming like I've been doing every day with the greenkeepers, and I was up with James Bledge at 3:30 this morning, and we were out walking we walked the 8th green at 3:30 in the morning, because when I woke up and did my normal thing, which is stick my head into his office at sort of 3:30, he was fully kitted up in his wet weather gear, and he looked quite panicked because the rain, I think it's Rainbird. Well, Rainbird might be the irrigation system, but he's got a rain sensor which tells him how much rain they've had, and overnight they'd have the best part 15 mil of rain, which is a lot of rain. And he wanted to check whether there was standing water on the greens, whether they need to get the squeegee out. It was that much rain had fallen overnight. And we came in, and then we look at the stats for the course for the day, and they stretched it out to 7,380 something. So they put it the longest it's been all week. I don't think that is advantageous for the longer hitter, because what it did, and perhaps you can't shorten the
pins
fives
were
too
definitely more
yes,
generous.
I'd agree with that. I think they definitely made the pins more generous. We actually did a bit of statistics on this, and on day one,
was it averages 5.6 paces off
from
the
edge.
side, and now it's like 8.3 or something.
So they basically increased the distance from the edge from round 1 to round 4 by 50%. So they've really centralised the pins, which enables, if you think of it like this, if they tucked the pins, Brian Harman could have hit the middle of every green and two-putt, but it would have then disadvantaged the people that went pin seeking. So by centralising the pins, you allow people to go hunting.
Yeah.
So and it was soft, so they could have. But the problem was the fairways were soft, and all the holes that you needed to really take advantage of, like the par fives, one played 620. That hole was the longest hole in Open history today. You just couldn't get on the green.
No, they were just way back. But even holes like 1, was a 456-yard par 4. And I thought, I think when when we're really getting dialed in on looking at it was when Rory teed off. And he had 209 in. I was like, what's going on here? Has he roofed the drive or something? That hole was playing exceptionally long. There was a lot of holes that were playing long. The fives are becoming, certainly 15 and 18 were absolute legitimate three-shot golf holes. And I think there's some truth in that. It actually stretched it to a point where, maybe the scoring average drifts up slightly. I haven't checked that. But did it compress the leaderboard? Certainly didn't seem to, did it, in terms of the way it played? Interesting footnote whilst we're talking about golf holes and scoring. Despite all the discussion around 17, it did not play the hardest golf hole of the week. It did not play the hardest par 3 of the week. Thomas, what are we learning from that? Illuminate me.
17 was a strange one. It came in with so much hype, so much chat about this brutal par 3 that only plays 136 yards. And no doubt it is a brutal par 3 for a mid-handicapper. Or for, if the wind got up, it would have been brutal. But the reality was, I don't think the wind got much above sort of 12, 15 miles an hour all week. And these are the best players in the world. So the majority of the people hit the green. And when they were in the bunkers, it's not like watching an amateur hack out from one bunker to another. They just knocked it on the green.
And they took their medicine.
Yeah.
You just probably weren't going to get up and down very easily.
Today in round 4, you had Tommy Ladd that got punished, took a triple. I think, did he take triple in the end? Yeah, so, that was Matt Fitzpatrick in round 3. Yeah, only round 2, sorry, because he was about to make the cut. It had a few victims, but all golf holes have victims, I think what's happened with Little Eye, if I speak perfectly honestly, is that it's a difficult hole for amateur golfers, and there was concern that it was going to be difficult for pros, but the reality was how it played out was it wasn't that difficult for pros.
The proportionate increase in difficulty in that hole from being reversed and completely rebuilt, it is not proportionally harder for the best players in the world because they still are quite good at hitting the green from 130 yards.
Yeah.
That's the fact of the matter. 6 felt like one where, played the course a little bit. You missed the green on 6 or, 4 as it is for the members routing. And you kind of chastise yourself. But then when you sit there and watch tons of the best players in the world repeatedly missing that green, you're like, okay, this is actually not a very easy par 3, considering you're playing it from pretty much similar distance a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how the different holes translate. I mean, not surprisingly, the 3 par 5s are the easiest holes. The 9th played as the easiest hole outside of the par 5s, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, if I give you some stats, like the old Tom would have done. I used to be a stato, do you remember? The 6th was the 7th hardest golf hole today. Yeah, the 6th was the 7th hardest golf hole today, and Little Eye was the 11th. So what's that make it 8th easiest golf hole?
Yeah, absolutely.
So played a smidge 3.09. Hardly anything over par. And you're right, like amateur golfers, we would chastise ourselves for not hitting a green on the 6th. The difference is just their ability to get up and down from pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I think essentially the storyline that a lot of people were talking about going into this was it is a non-event.
I think so, yeah. I think the 17th was, the way they put the stands up, they were expecting the drama. It was a fairly drama-free affair in the end. Interestingly, the third hole pretty much played most difficult through the week, which is the members first. which is great because you speak to the members and they always talk to you about how rock hard the first hole is, and they're like, yeah, first hole, like solid.
But the first in the open routing was the second hardest golf hole. So the hardest hole all week this week was the first hole that they played. The third, the members' first, was the third hardest.
I mean, mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of good bits of articles. I mean, 18 in particular, I thought, there's a nice little piece there dissecting the merits and the difficulty of that golf hole. But, you start looking at holes with the out of bounds, and the power of the out of bounds as a deterrent to the players, that is what creates the difficulty of that golf hole. And it shows in the scoring. That's why it's so brutally difficult. They played it with such respect.
Should we go with Matty Jordan?
Matty Jordan next.
So, Matty's obviously... The best bit about the Matty Jordan story is, like, it's not this top 10 player in the world that's out at Hoylake that, was expected to come in and do well. He was outside until about a month prior to the Open. He wasn't playing in the Open. He was outside of qualification. He qualified through final qualifying at West Lancs. Came second in that. Matt Wallace winning that at West Lancs, and then coming here and then getting the honour of the opening tee shot, which must have been what a thrill, because we were there when he teed off, and he had a great group. Richie Ramsey, we've been banging on about Richie Ramsey all week, but he had a great group, and following him for those you couldn't get a spot in the crowd in that first round. Like, there's so many people going around with him, and through everything that he went through, and he doubling 17 on round 3 and then bogeying 17 today, that birdie down 18 today,
clutch
he must
stuff.
have known how clutch that was, because that at the time is to go into 11th.
I think that locks up a lot of stuff for him. I might be wrong on that. I think that
certainly locks up an invite to next year's Open, top 10 and ties, which he's done now, because of Tommy Fleetwood's triple on 17, which basically brought Matty Jordan into 10th. So huge congratulations to Matty Jordan.
It's a lot of pressure
and the
to
whole
play
of
with the
Royal
whole
Liverpool.
week, isn't it? It's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders for a whole week.
He looks like he's thrived in it though.
Yeah, and just loved it and delivered really good golf, and that's been a great storyline for the week.
I think so. Certainly walking around, everyone's been interested. Everyone's asking the question, how's he doing? And that birdie on 18 was just genuinely sensational today.
Can we talk about Rory, because we feel like we should always talk about Rory, and he dominates the headlines, and therefore for somebody who hasn't really featured in it, a quick glance at his stats, he's driven the ball badly this week.
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge amount to discuss with Rory. Like, if he wasn't Rory McIlroy, I don't think we'd be talking about him this week.
That's a fair take.
He, is it a curse winning the Scottish before you go into this? Don't know. He came
sometimes been seen as a very good precursor, actually.
Yeah, I just don't know. He just seemed, for some reason, like he just couldn't get the ball in the hole today. And like you said, he's not driven very well, but he certainly didn't putt fantastically either.
I mean, a couple of headline stats. Rory hit 50% of fairways in round 2 and 3. He hit 28.6 fairways. He hit 4 fairways today.
Yeah, well, that's not going to get it done, is it?
And he's like scored pretty well, to be fair. Like
when
he came through like 4 holes, and we were like, how on earth is he 3 under par?
His par down 2 was genuinely. Did he par 2 or was it birdie? I think it was par 2. It was genuinely outrageous.
Yeah,
like because they put that fabric over the fencing that they place around the course to keep people in or out, whichever way you look at it. That fabric had kept the ball in bounds. Then he ends up on a concrete path, so gets relief, drop, knocks it. I mean, it would have been OB for a member. I mean, no member can hit that far, but would have been OB without Daz.
He shot 68, and I think he squeezed 3 or 4 out of that weren't there. It wasn't a great ball striking week for him. It must be. It's back to that Brian Harman thing, though, isn't it? When you're told you can't do something, it wills you on to do it. When you've got pretty much the entire golfing world telling you that you are going to go and win the Open Championship at Royal Liverpool, that sense of expectation, it must be I mean, it's like a blessing and a curse. The guy has so much support, but he has so much expectation placed upon him that it's really bloody hard for him.
I mean,
I think basically
it's
a
just
lot of the names, you could go
Rory.
through a lot of those names though. You know, Cameron Young didn't really bring much to the party, did he, in terms of like real firepower? John Rahm went on a great charge yesterday, didn't quite follow it up today. Yeah, there's been some great sort of like last minute sort of shouts with Straka, Kim, you know, really good sort of performances. But
tell me, what do you think about Tommy, lad? Because Tommy's got a history of like kind of doing well in final rounds and like making good charges. He doesn't in the majors, he hasn't got up the leaderboard early, and certainly like was it final group on round 3. How disheartened do you think he'll be being in final group on round 3 and just not being able to kick on 3 and 4?
And it's propped up on one very, very good round of golf his week here today. I don't know. I'm not sure I know enough about specifics about how Tommy hits the ball. The thing is, he's kind of got a bit of that Rory factor for me as well. He's an extremely amiable chap.
Yeah.
So he's got a huge amount of support. He's playing in his home country, and he goes out and shoots 66 in the first day. I'm just going to put some expectation on those shoulders for you, because you know you're one of the best players in the world and you're in good form. But for one reason or another, it was night and day with Harman and the rest of the crowd that were playing this week. You take away
Harman, you've got a bunch of players within 2 shots. Like he's just gone so much lower than everyone else, and for that, I think that was the reason the people didn't like him. I think it's the people who weren't rooting for him. I think it's the reason that the Open kind of felt a little bit flat. It's because he'd won it after 2 rounds. But you take him away, and it's a super tight leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean his putting stats are unbelievable. And that's what it comes down to. Thomas, I feel like it's a short recap pod.
Short and sharp. We've got places to be. Got homes to go.
There's some
to.
extremely exciting stuff in the works, which we should flag. Another extremely good reason to be signed up to our newsletter.
Are we going to announce tooting back through the newsletter?
We will do in a second.
Through the newsletter.
We will be announcing some events up over the Walker Cup in September. They will be coming out imminently. I feel like I've said that a dozen times, but I've actually seen them and they're done now, so they're going to be coming out. We've got an event on Saturday night, and we've got a golf day on the Monday straight afterwards in St Andrews. If you're not signed up on that newsletter, you're not going to see it. So please make sure you're on there if you're planning on going to the Walker Cup. We're going to have some other events that are going to be coming out fairly soon. Really cool one I'm quite excited about down near London. But all the events will come through our newsletter. Any parting thoughts?
I'd say a final thank you must go to you guys who listen and read and watch. It's been really nice this week. We've put out a lot of stuff, lots of articles, lots of podcasts. We had the films that came out prior to the Open. They've been received fantastically well. You've been reading the articles, which has been nice.
And you're going to be releasing a film
about the greenkeepers of the Open.
And that will be out
when it's out.
You've been up at 3 a.m. filming every day, and I can't get you to commit to releasing that at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Thomas, that is absolutely unacceptable.
Finally, the Tooting Beck winner. You all have been dying to know, I know. The
Tooting Beck winner of 2023.
I can't believe it's not announced by Martin Slumbers. It should be up there. The Tooting Beck winner of 2023. The winner of the silver replica scorecard. And the medal goes to Alex Fitzpatrick.
65 on Saturday.
In round 3.
And there you go. Thomas, adios.
Adios.
Watch this.